truth sayer. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the truth sayer. So guys, if you guys see the title, we're going to do a story time. A story time on how I created identity and ultimately failed and my life completely got destroyed. Now, before we even tap into the story time, I wrote a quote on my arm. And I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna tell you guys it because it's really helpful to be able to remind yourself of this. So the most important thing is not what I'm thinking or feeling or what someone else is thinking and feeling. The most important thing is that we are alive right now. That's the most important thing, is that we are alive right now. Not what you're thinking, not what you're feeling, not what someone else is thinking or feeling. We're so stuck on to what someone else is thinking and feeling, what I'm thinking and feeling. It doesn't matter. You're alive right now, and that aliveness might not always be there. So being able to remind yourself of that is extremely good. So let's get into the story time. And so with the story time, before I let you know, I'm just gonna let you know. I'm just gonna tell you. And you might not like it, you might like it, it doesn't matter. Either way, I'm gonna say it to you. So I ended up, I got into doing a bunch of different self-awareness, enlightenment practices, as we talked about in the last video. And by me doing these practices, it got me to be able to realize and understand that I am consciousness. I am creator instead of being the created, right? Because I was so stuck on being created that I was extremely just a bot created, kind of like a couch. If you think about it, a couch doesn't have consciousness. It's not conscious that it is a couch. It's just a couch, and it does what it is told. It does what it was made to do, to get sit on. And that's exactly how we are. We are created in a specific way for us to act in a specific way. But the thing is, with our body, and based on us being one of the highest intelligence on earth, we are conscious. So we are conscious of the fact that we are. So with that being said, we can be able to realize that yes, we were created to act in a specific way, but we don't really have to follow that. We are created to be what we want to be, and we can be able to change it because we're conscious. So I ended up realizing that. That was a big awareness, because when I was doing a bunch of YouTube videos, I didn't even know that I was. That I just was. I wasn't aware that I was aware. You see? So with that being said, I realized that I was consciousness, and I started tapping in and started creating identity, because I didn't realize I'm a creator. I can be able to create things. So this body, this mind it doesn't have to be dictated based on what so-called God has told me to act like. And when I say so-called God, I'm not saying that there's no God. Let's get that real straight, because there is a God, but what we call God actually is the government. But what people call God, they're following a false God. They're following ego. There is either God or there's ego. There is two differentiations. And this is what you either follow. People say devil, but devil could be ego. It's the same phenomenon in a way. Okay? But God or ego. So I realized that I want to be able to change my ego, and so my body and mind can be able to have the life the way I want it, not what society wants for me, not what the collective wants for me, not what so-called God wants for me. You see what I'm saying? So I ended up creating a different ego, a different identity. And you have to understand and realize that ego and identity are two same things. That's why I don't like saying ego is devil, because then we say that our human life is devil. It's not. It's just that we live, the ego is a way to be able to live in the world, but it is not the all be all. It is a gift from God for you to be able to use to realize you are a son of God. But I'm not going to get too deep in that. The point is that I decided to create a new identity. And the new identity that I created was the most powerful, the most gracious, the most best, the most wonderful, the most wealthiest person that I can be. And when I asked that question got me to be able to change my life. My thoughts started changing. My feelings started changing. My actions started changing. I started being able to see things in a new perspective. I started viewing things in a different way. I knew that I could be able to be something more than what someone else has told me. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bitch before that. Okay? I had people say I was gay, people say I was this and that. This is the reason why I was making those type of videos. The videos, if you go on my YouTube, you will see me making videos of I like you prank with another guy, which is completely haram. It's not good. But the fact is, I did it because people were telling me that I was that. And I'm not gonna lie, this is all the agenda. This is the agenda of society. By the way, I'm editing this video. Do you guys realize right when I said something about the agenda, the airplane started coming? Everything is planned. There's no coincidence for anything. Just think about that. Agenda of society, the collective, the so-called God is telling you to follow these things. So this is the reason why for a very young age people were telling me that, because I was destined to be something way more, way greater. But due to me being so kind, so loving, so open, that I let people tell me who I was. I let people tell me that I was this and that and that. So people were telling me I'm gay, I'm this, I'm that. So I ended up, yes, I got big on YouTube based on my drive, based on my ambition, but I started making videos based on those type of things. So I made this a new identity and I was completely changed. I started becoming powerful, started becoming kind, started becoming hardworking, even though I was already hardworking, but became more hardworking. I started creating boundaries. I started not let people tell me what to do. That right there completely changed everything. But this is where I fucked up. I kept on asking too many questions. I would say, what would the most powerful, most gracious, most best, most wonderful, wealthiest person do, the version of me, do? And I just kept on asking it over and over and over and over and over. I'm talking about minute by minute, my minute. I made it like an affirmation, but I was asking questions. Even saying that right now, my head is hurting. And that's exactly what happened, because the thing is, in my third eye, or you would say my head, my pineal gland got overstimulated, and I asked too many questions to the point where my body was overriding. My body was glitching. My body was messing up because I was asking too many questions instead of just allowing the answer, and so then I could just follow that answer. So that's exactly what happened. Started glitching to the point where I was like, bad. Extremely bad, to the point where, wait, Let's not get there yet. By me doing this, by me changing my identity or realizing the identity that I wanted, it got me to be able to move at my mother's house at 18 years old. Move all the way to another state. And I ended up getting 2 jobs, working morning and night. I had like a little house that I was staying in. And I had like $2,000 in the bank. I was working at a job and I was getting well with the managers. One of the managers was a girl, kind of liked her, and in a way she kind of liked me. But I had to play that game of like, she doesn't like me until I just keep talking to her to the point where she does like me. What I'm saying? So it was getting good. I was starting a business. I started a business, creating like a community, and I could create courses. I was working continuously, tirelessly. I was working like 16 hours, had like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, but yeah, I was working hard. And yeah, everything was getting good. I was working out because the place I was working at had a gym, so I was working out there. I started taking cold showers. Everything was getting good. But the thing is, I got obsessed with this feeling, because what happens is when you ask yourself, what would this person do? Automatically, your action is not going to change. It's really you're getting the energy of that thing. And once you get that energy, it can be converted into action. So I started getting the energy, and I started doing it over and over again because I wanted that energy. I didn't want that old energy that I had before. And so once I started having that energy, I sooner or later started taking action. So yeah, I lost my train of thought a little bit. But the point is that my life was changing. It was getting good. I started programming my mind. I started, doing some like this thing called priming. It's created by Tony Robbins. So I started started changing my physiology and all those different type of things. But the thing is that I messed up by me asking all these questions. I ended up going to jail. Okay, I ended up going to jail before I was about to get myself a complete apartment, paying the bills and everything. And this was a week before. I remember talking to my dad. I was like, Dad, listen, I got $2,000 in the bank, and I'm doing pretty good, and I'm about to get myself my own apartment. Everything was going good, and by me asking so many questions, I remember asking this question. I said, what would the best combat artist do? It fit with this person I wanted to become. And it said, fight. And I wanted to become it so much that I was working and someone kept on staring at me. But when you work out, you kind of get intense in a way. He just kept staring at me. And I was like, you know what? That is what a combat would do. And so, fight. And so I went up to him and I said, why are you staring at me? And he said, what? And I said, let's go outside. And I'm literally in the middle of work. And he was like, and I just stood there. And I was breathing a little bit more intensely because I was ready to punch him in his face. And I swinged at him. I missed. And then I got up. I did a kick beat. I did a little bit of karate. And someone else tackled me to stop me. And then after that, I was like, don't you... And then one of the people that were working there, my coworkers, were coming. And they told me, let's leave so you don't get fired. I said, don't you ever disrespect me. And I screamed out loud so the whole gym heard. And then I just kept on going. I fought the coworker. And then they called the cops, and then I left by that time. But I said, you know what? Let's go all the way to let's talk to the cops now. And so now I'm at the point where my energy is extremely override, and I'm not thinking logically, I'm not thinking rationally. And I ended up finding a cop, literally finding a cop. And then I went to jail. So, not good. And so that's where completely I was going on an upward spiral to a downward spiral. Now, what is the thing that I messed up on? First of all, the story goes more and more, but we're not going to talk about the whole story. If you guys want a part 2, let me know. But what is the like, okay, so we have the timeline. Where's the part where I messed up? The part where I messed up was I was asking too many questions. Once I asked the question, I could have just kept following it. Oh, most importantly, following God, letting God guide me. Because the thing is that, like, I was not trusting myself in a way. Like, I was doing too much instead of having a balance. So trusting God, and most importantly, not asking so many questions. Just trust and know. You see? So I still created an identity. So I have the whole blueprint of how to create an identity. And that's exactly what I did again. I created another one. And now I'm doing it again, but I have to start all over. That's why my life is fucked. Because I'm around 21 years old, and I'm starting all over. You see? And so it's not the best. And yeah, so that's exactly what it is. And I'm just learning to be able to have that compassion for myself, because like, I did a lot of things to be able to get myself in a position where I could be able to be really good, and I messed up. So with that being said, that is a story time of creating my identity. If you guys want a part 2, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have a coaching 101 talking about how to be able to create an identity. And also, not just that, I talk about self-inquiry, mindfulness and meditation, and manifestation, and then most importantly, God. So yeah, so if you guys are interested in that, just go in the comments and let me know. But besides that, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and see you guys tomorrow, because we're on the 100-day streak, baby. All right, so yeah, see you tomorrow.